Welcome to Town Talk. My name is Carina Lieu, and today our guest is Shawnee Keck from Economic Workforce Development. Welcome, Shawnee.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. So I'd love to start off with you telling us, why do you work for the City of Oakland, and what do you do in the Economic Workforce Development Department?
I chose Oakland from London. I had been there for 11 years doing economic development for corporations and the city as well, the Council of Hackney. And when it came time to move home, the East Bay just was it. I had been following the data for the rise of a lot of the tech sector in the Bay Area. And Oakland was always matching where I was in London, and the statistics were very similar. And so when we had the chance to move here to California, we took it. And so I waited to be able to work for the city for a while. And once I got in, it was everything I'd hoped. The multiracial city that is Oakland is very much the city of the future. And I knew it would up my game, both in economic development and sustainability and inequity. Mm-hmm. The social organizations that are here, the business organizations that are here are absolutely cutting edge and innovative and have been for decades. Mm-hmm. So it was such a brilliant culmination to all the work that I'd done across 5 countries and in different economies. Our citizenry, our citizenship is basically 70%, over 70% not white. Mm-hmm. And 30 to 40% of our households speak a different language at home other than English. We have, over 30% immigrant population, so it makes for an incredibly diverse and beautiful economy across Black, Brown, and Asian communities. Mm-hmm. So to get to do economic development across all those different forces mm-hmm. at the same time as we have really clear, strong sustainability and climate goals, mm-hmm. it was just like there's no place else to be. Wow. Oakland is the routinely the 3rd or 4th most diverse city in the country. Mm-hmm. So I learn something new every day, and the work of weaving between and across all of the different communities, it's so rich, and it keeps us on our game. Yeah. And in economic development, our game for the past 4 years has very much been focused on recovery and stabilization. Most departments like ours work for bringing businesses into the city and finding them spaces and places, or partners, relationships that they can use, maybe sometimes employees. But we also have spent a lot of time working on keeping businesses here. Really, the team before us, a lot of us are new in my tenure, and the team before us was the streets team for COVID. They were out there giving the grants. They were out there taking all of the needs that were happening during all of the different stages and phases of closure. They were the ones that kind of helped set up the parklets. And so a lot of us kind of inherited all that beautiful infrastructure. Okay. And we also inherited a very active business community that had a lot to say. So we've spent 3 years, I've spent 3 years just listening, doing what I can to open gateways and doors for engagement and involvement. The economy is only partially government constructed and run and supported. It's mostly the businesses themselves that create it. It's a lot of regional forces, but here locally, most of our firms are, about 93% of our firms say they make under $250,000 a year. And over 80% say that they have less than 9 employees. Wow. So we're a very small business, micro business economy.
Yeah. Since you have all that experience from working in other cities, even internationally, how does the small business makeup of Oakland, how does that compare with your experience of working in other places and what their small business makeup is?
For cities our size, it's very common. For cities as ethnically and racially diverse, it's also very common. we are not a suburb or a big metropolitan that has a large corporate presence. We have a lot of very big, fun corporations that are here that do a lot of good work. But by and large, the ownership base is very commonly at home, second, third type of businesses, people that do a job. And then we spoke a lot about the gig economy over the past 10 years. Oakland is very much that. People do a lot of different types of hustling. And it's really starting to bear out in the business data that we're reading. So yeah, I think we're quite comparable. I think in terms of the West Coast, we might be, in terms of larger West Coast cities, we might be a bit more small and a little bit less corporate.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about COVID. So before COVID, what was the small business climate like? And then what happened during COVID? And where do we find ourselves now?
And it's not even small business, it's all business. It's very interesting to hear our real estate partners talk about 2019. When I was in London, we had a bar called the Last Days of Disco. That's what I very much like to refer as 2019 to 2019 to, because it was the height of it all, where rents were high, employment was high, earnings were high, development was high. Oakland built more than any other city in the Bay Area in housing, which meant we had all that new ground floor downstairs that we could put businesses in. If you read our consultation documents, if you read our community feedback on a lot of our policies and strategies, you will hear them say that the spaces were too big, the rent was too high, and they were not happy with what they had on offer in terms of fitting into the built economy. And so there was a lot of discussion about how to help them get back into downtown or to places that were building a lot of luxury housing and prices were going up. Meanwhile, Oakland was amazing in the global economy. We had some of the highest fill rates in our buildings, in occupancy. We had some of the highest rents in the country at one point in the world.
Wow.
Yeah, we were rockin' and sockin'. And it was also the spillover in our arts and culture and creative economy that we could see everywhere, which gave us that leg to recovery when we came out of COVID. It gave us the sense of community that everybody was looking for, and it gave so many of the people that were, quote, stuck at home a chance to reinvent what a neighborhood economy looks like, what a 24-hour economy looks like, how we use our streets in complement to our buildings. So if you can think about First Fridays and how it looks on our streets then, COVID was a chance to do that all the time. And so 15th Street in downtown was getting all kinds of international attention for the parties it was having outside. So I feel we were already on it. If you read our plans, our downtown Oakland specific plan was very much thinking about full use, mixed use, streets use, community presence, and what we needed to do to bring foot traffic out. So when the crash hit, we were actually quite prepared, and we'd already built the housing. We already had the cafes. It was just a matter of throwing the party, which all of our businesses did.
Okay. Well, that's very fascinating. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Did you know that K-Top streams live online? That's right, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Visit our live stream today at oaklandca.gov/oakmeeting. K-Top, your government access TV station.
Welcome back. My name is Carina Lieu. This is Town Talk. And before our break, we were talking with Shawnee Keck from Economic Workforce Development about business development before COVID. So Shawnee, you'd walked us through how things were before COVID. Tell me a little bit more about what you do specifically and what you've been working on since COVID.
And our role has changed a lot, actually. I specifically am I'm in business development, in economic development. And I am the project manager for the Economic Development Action Plan, which each service in the city tends to pull its key policy goals, supported by data, with a series of action plans and ideas, or action steps and ideas to, come and meet those objectives and be able to measure it through performance. So we are creating one of the second strategies in 30 years. The first one was in 2018 and ended in 2023, excuse me. And bless those guys, like it was COVID all the way through. So this strategy is kind of acknowledging where we've been and picking up where we are. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of our team's work in the strategy itself is really just articulating what our day-to-day has been, which has been a lot of complaints for a long time. Businesses have been stressed out now. So as we come through COVID and we have the crash and they're still partying in the street, that doesn't mean that they're making as much money as they were before. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean they're meeting their rent payments like they needed to do. And that certainly doesn't mean that the customer base is the same. So they were really holding it down as best they could through all this change. And as the dust settles and we have come through an office culture where we're now working mostly 2-3 days a week, and that's across the economy. Mm-hmm. So a strategy for a new economy or the continuing economy really needs to be grounded in that perspective of business. So a lot of what I do all day is literally meet with businesses, whether in groups on their corridors or one-on-one. Mm-hmm. Our team is incredible. They've all been in some way or another in business before. They have businesses, their family have businesses. They've been working in business support for years. Mm-hmm. And so we are basically the customer service team. We're the front end. And with businesses as our customers, we have to partner with them because they own the other half of the economy. That's their tenant and lease that they pay, the tenancy and lease that they pay. That's the building that they own. That's the street that they pay permits for to put cafe tables out. Like, it's theirs. Mm-hmm. So we are very much facilitators and relationship managers and kind of partners to help them get to where they want to go. Mm-hmm. So in our strategy, we're very much focusing on their call for interdepartmental work, kind of bring all the services to our corridor and make it clean and safe. Mm-hmm. Give us the ability to use our streets for parties and extra revenue and whatever else we want to do, yoga if we want to do it. Right. Help us survive the crazy foot traffic changes that we're experiencing. Yeah. Access to capital, business support for new types of marketing, or how do those events help us make money? Mm-hmm. And then the other thing that they're really asking for is kind of appreciate that our neighborhoods matter, our localities where the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker are all here. Those are those small businesses. Mm-hmm. And that we very much have a stake in making this street work.
Right.
And when you put the equity piece underneath it all, or you put the sustainability piece over the top, mm-hmm. the kind of work that we do with business is both at the same time very much in the future, mm-hmm. because markets have changed. There's been some really great research consistently, both from the Public Policy Institute of California to McKinsey, that says that going forward, it will be very much a non-white market, mm-hmm. that Black, Brown, and Asian businesses, Indigenous businesses will be creating content and products for their own communities like they always have, mm-hmm. but then that becomes the mainstream part of the economy. So how do we prepare firms that for centuries have not been invested in? The wealth gap has been well documented in this city. Mm-hmm. When we partner with businesses, we need to know that they're on the back foot. Our Black and Brown businesses especially are on the back foot of finance. They don't have everything they need. Mm-hmm. They don't have the investment they deserve. They don't have the reserves that a business would need to cope through the past 4 years. Mm-hmm. So our strategy is really kind of admitting and acknowledging the inequities that they start from, mm-hmm. appreciating how absolutely valuable and beautiful this economy is. Not everybody gets it. And not only do not a lot of cities have a strong multiracial economy, but we have a Black and Brown and Asian and Indigenous middle class. Mm-hmm. We've got people that are creating innovation every day, that own property, that are developing our streets and parts of our cities that are not white. That's mm-hmm. a very different perspective on economic development. Yeah. So our team really finds ways to bring those visions to bear and understands what the resources necessary for those would be. That's mostly our day-to-day. So we're writing that into the strategy is kind of how do you appreciate where you are, understand the needs, and complement what's been asked for.
Yeah, that's very important work. And
I love it. I love it so much. It's such an honor to work here.
Yeah. Where do you see challenges or, with that business engagement, where do you see opportunities?
I think government especially, I'm a big government nerd. I'm a huge, I have a public policy degree and I just love talking about this institution all day long. It does a lot of harm and it can do a lot of good depending on who's wielding the sword. And we are really witnessing a transformation in the way the economy is put together, as I've said, but that means admitting that co-ownership, admitting that co-constituted space that they have a right to define. And that's a new skill. There's a lot of times we see a lot of economic development reports that say, this area should have all these things because we say so and we're used, and that's what economic development does. And we've crashed office 3 times now in my career where downtown has caused a lot of problems. I was standing in Canary Wharf in London when a couple major finance firms liquidated their people and pulled everybody out of the building, and the building stood empty. So this is our 3rd major crisis like this. And so it's the strategy really hopefully will learn from history. And one of the most important things that we've been doing and that we see around the world is just getting businesses into ground floor. It doesn't matter what the rent is, doesn't matter what it takes, just get it. But when you have that magic wand, you can actually turn that into the policy itself. And so we want to fill the ground floor is exactly what a lot of our strategies say. So then to us, it's like, okay, well, what do we need to do that? Knowing that none of these guys have a lot of very much money, right? So where do we begin? Using our partnerships. And super fun. Yeah,
that's awesome. I have more questions for you. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with more from Shawnee. Welcome back to Town Talk. My name is Carina Lieu. Today we're speaking with Shawnee Keck from Economic Workforce Development. So Shawnee, really fascinating stuff about co-ownership with businesses. Right now, I'm sure many people know, walking down the street, there's a lot of vacancies. What is your team doing to fill the vacancies and create more activity on the street?
We're so excited about this challenge. I think this is probably the thing we talk about the most. We've recently just had kind of almost a pilot program where we did Activate Oakland, and we put art events out into the street, on the sidewalks, out in front of businesses. And that is kind of our plan, more or less, is more of that. We've spent the last couple years defining where the economy occurs, just mapping all the various data that we could on jobs and businesses and parcels, where buildings are and what they do. And our Department of Race and Equity did in 2018 a study on the equity indicators. And for economic development, the highest thing they worried about was vacancy. So we've been working backwards from that, saying, okay, where are the key vacancies? Where are the long-term vacancies? And how does that look if we consider also crime and complaints, our 311 complaints? And then how does it also look if we consider nearby opportunity sites? And that's where we cross with our planning department and we say, yes, let's identify all of our opportunity sites. What does that actually mean? And so with our team, we have a very different perspective of the value of neighborhoods, the value of corridors, than I think a lot of economic development has historically. And there wasn't a lot of time spent on non-downtown neighborhoods. in terms of investment, and the idea that you would attract a climate business, a big sensor solar business into kind of a neighborhood or an industrial area wasn't always the first thing people thought about. Especially our last tranche of development focused on downtown quite a bit. And so it's a really exciting second chapter. Yeah. It's a great place for our strategy to pick up, to say, right, well, everything's changed. The concentration across the city is quite diffuse. We can see businesses everywhere. We have, one of my favorite statistics is we have roughly 1,770 streets across the city that have 50 or more businesses on them.
I love that.
Yeah. We have identified our top 25 corridors in the city, which have more than 300 businesses on them.
Okay.
And we've started working with groups of businesses on the ground that want to adopt a spot in their corridor and help keep it clean and safe, bring in cameras, do events, really kind of focusing on the value of every street, especially from the perspective of the people that live and work there.
Yeah.
And so as we look at vacancy, one of the things we're considering is kind of where the big possible sites are if we consider this new economic paradigm of, Thursday to Monday, everybody plays.
Right.
We like to live and play in the same place now. We like to learn and play and live in the same place. And so what does that look like for mixed use? Can we ask planning? Can we work with building? Can we work with the economy is very dependent. We don't get to do a lot of things ourselves. We rely on other services and we ask them for help because we are business, but business needs infrastructure. The old Obama slogan, I think it was, "We built this." And that's what they meant, is that it's a co-produced thing. Yeah. And so transport and public works and planning are all saying, let's get to a neighborhood economy.
Yes.
So that's what we're starting to put things back in. So it allows us to ask our services, could you change the use of this building? Could you let a temporary use go in for 2 years? Can we have a rave here? What do we need to do this? Because that's the other thing, is retail is not the same.
It's not the same.
And we have a lot of retail across the city. And so we are really pushing the boundaries of what is acceptable in the same space.
Yeah.
So what we found when we were doing some work for our climate action plan, understanding what the repair economy looks like, is that a lot of our retail shops, furniture sellers, clothing sellers, shoe sellers especially, offer repair.
Okay.
And so they actually have a mini workshop on site where they've got tools and they've got benches and they've got what looks like industrial.
Yeah.
And so that light industrial, they also will likely have a cafe there. So you can watch people make shoes and you can come on Friday nights and have a sewing class.
Right.
So as the economy starts to kind of express itself in different ways, we are really documenting how we can, in the back end, say, okay, well, that was a circus, literally a circus in your parking lot. How do we get that to happen again so that your building looks vibrant and exciting and a place where people want to either locate to from within the city or come and take over from someplace else.
Very, very exciting.
Yeah, it's like I say, it's the best time to be here.
Yeah, it's like painting a new picture on the canvas.
It is, and it's really admitting that consumers they've always been multiple channels. They've always used multiple channels. They've always liked to have an experience where they go. But it's really kind of building that in, which we also hope will help the businesses become more sustainable, because that's the other issue. So we have restaurants, for example, who've seen their foot traffic just bottom out.
Yeah.
But because they're amazing and because this is Oakland and we change and make things all the time, they're renting out for comedy clubs, they're bringing in business meetings, they're doing, a lot of that kind of office work, actually. The conference room circuit is coming into our restaurants, basically, and that's how they're meeting their rent.
Right.
Equally, we're seeing a lot more co-location of like yoga and daycare and office, so that the amenity actually becomes part of the offer. And again, that our rents have come down, but not as much as the businesses need them to.
Yeah.
And so it gives them a chance to kind of find, again, it takes it back to the gig economy. You just put more stuff on there so you can earn.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there's something you said there that reminds me that having neighborhoods that support families is really key. I mean, you need to be able to do like 3 things, and conveniently. And that's what kind of makes a neighborhood feel like a place you would want to drive to and live near and,
and walk to. That is my favorite part about the beautiful now. The previous strategies, so we are one of the last strategies in the city to go, which is great because our previous strategies in planning, which is their second piece, is underway. Our equitable climate action plan, our housing and community development action plan, our DOT's old strategy from a few years ago, all of them want more pedestrians and more bikes. And it culminates in this notion of what is theoretically known as the 15-minute neighborhood. So, your school is the center, and then you build, again, the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker around it. So we are so excited because that gives us a chance to see the consumer as a whole person, not as just a worker, not as a commuter, not you're here to have, a bagel in the morning, a $25 salad at lunch, and then drinks, and then you're out. People live here. And so I'm going to see you both on Wednesday afternoon, but I'll probably also see you on Sunday afternoon with your family. That puts a beautiful moment for parks and open space, streets and sidewalks, bike lanes, our amazing waterfront. It allows us to really think about, oh my gosh, one of my favorite pandemic examples that became a permanent was Brooklyn Basin. That big, beautiful green mound. It's like one of the most amazing places because the other thing that I haven't talked about is that diversity in the economy is all those different uses are really led by the different owners. And we have a huge LGBTQIA queer economy, actually. And those drag queens are who animated Brooklyn Basin with roller skates for a long time. And, again, with 15th Street, they are also a queer economy. And so we've seen a lot more co-ops coming out as well, where maybe businesses alone can't afford a space, but a whole bunch of people, if they come together and bring their money together and bring a bunch of different uses in that space, they can afford it. So we've had just really neat lifestyle experience, what we used to call the arts, culture, and entertainment economy, just kind of blend. And you get this just amazing different wellness factor, where transport if we make the right changes, much like in planning, if we make the right changes, it just unlocks this new magic. And to be here to record all that, to watch it, and to see it from Oakland's perspective, because it's not white, it's beautifully multiplicity, and it's just this beautiful multiplicity where, because this community does it this way, that's the jobs and businesses they create. That rocks. I love amazing this time. Whereas that's not how we used to define economy.
No. The city of Oakland is so lucky to have people like you and the colleagues that you work with who are thinking about intersectionality and equity and climate, and these things are so important, and that's how we're going to have a future wonderful city of Oakland. So thank you so much.
It's our guiding star.
That's all for today with Town Talk. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again next time.